Well, hello everybody. It says I'm live, so welcome to the Minutes with Milo show. See, it's show 60. Wow. And we're doing another Survivor recap. Just looking at what went on last night's show. Even though I didn't get to watch it last night, I watched it tonight. So hopefully it is more current in my brain. I won't say that it is. My brain seems to be getting smaller and smaller and smaller, like my hair. Of course, my hair is actually getting longer and longer. So maybe that's where my brain's going. It's like coming out in little hair follicles. And as my hair grows, my brain shrinks. It could be possible, right? I mean, who am I to say it's not? Could be. So, right now this is live, and I think it is me currently, so there's nobody else watching. And if you're watching it now, I don't see you. Leave me a comment. Tell me you're here. But if you watch it later, maybe if you're late, one of these late night viewers of YouTube, and you're clicking through the channels, you see this funny bald dude that thinks he's going to talk about Survivor, then welcome. And if you don't mind, of course, do all the YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, like, leave a comment, do all that kind of stuff so that, well, at least I know somebody out there sees it. And, tell your friends. Tell your friends that, Minutes with Milo talks about stupid stuff. Here's Robert. Hey, Robert. Brain evaporation. Yep, that strengthens the hair roots, nourishes the hair follicles. And therefore, you get longer hair, smaller brains. So, Robert told me today at work that I would be surprised about Survivor. And there's things that were kind of surprising, some things I've, had seen before. Because he knew, I said, hey, don't tell me, because I haven't been able to see it yet. So I came home and I had watched it. I've been recorded it. And so, I don't know what Robert was surprised about. Maybe he'll enlighten us what he found surprising, see if that's anything that I found surprising. So, anyway, Survivor, season 44. I don't even know what I thought when I was watching it. It said day 17. I mean, they don't go was it 40 days before? 39 days? Now they're doing like 20 ever since 20-some. I don't know exact dates. How many they played since coronavirus. That's very quick, very short. And I don't know why. I don't think they haven't told me. Maybe they told some of you guys. They haven't told me why they've condensed it to make it, I don't know, make it quicker turnaround time, maybe to fit into somebody's production schedule, maybe to fit in, Fiji's schedule. Here's something I've wondered. Now, they used to, okay, so you thought Danny should have been gone. It's always kind of strange that, and I think it's a lot of how they edit the show. And I don't pretend to be a Survivor expert by no means. I don't remember the people's names. I have to look them up, and I'll get to that here in a second. Look them up on the internet and then read their names. I don't know. I have things like that, sitting down, enjoying the show, and not worried about trying to memorize names. Apparently, it's not important enough subconsciously for me to remember their names. So I don't make an active effort to do it. So therefore, it doesn't get done. So I have to look up. And I hope, if you're watching this, by me showing their faces and, talking about what they're doing, it adds a little, understanding. If you haven't watched it, if you've never seen it, if you missed some of the episodes and you, for whatever reason, think this might be a good way to learn what happened on an episode, then, I'm hoping that helps, because it helps me. If it doesn't help you, then I'm sorry, or maybe I'm sorry that it helps me. So anyway, you thought Danny should have been gone, probably should have, but like in past Survivors, it's always, to us, the audience, it seems like, well, he should have been gone. But I think if you sit down, these experts that I was alluding to before, might be able to tell you, if they've paid attention to the editing. It just seems like in the back of my mind, I get this little foggy, hey, you know what? If you think about it, if you read between the lines on who they show a little more of this show as opposed to past shows, then you might get a hint on who's going to get voted out. Just because I think they tend to throw in the person more, maybe I'm wrong, when they're getting ready to get voted out. I don't know. It just seems like, now that I'm thinking about it, talking about it, that Kane, the guy that gets voted out at the end, get a little more screen time, a little more air time. But Danny did too. So maybe it's just, my brain putting it together incorrectly. Because, it's the power of suggestion. Oh, well, now that I know who got voted out and I think back, well, it looks like I saw him a lot more. Maybe that's just my brain, going along with the sham and saying, oh, yeah, you're right, man, you're good. Woo. So, last week, or last show, not the one I'm talking about, but the previous one, when they voted out Brandon, and I remember his name because I know some Brandons. When they voted out Brandon, that was Danny's doing. All right? So they came back. People were surprised. And this Kane fellow said he wasn't mad. It didn't make him mad what happened. It woke him up. So he realized, even though there had been 4 members of his tribe left, now there was only 3. And he was lucky it wasn't him. So he was going to really start playing the game. And like he had said before, like Kane had said in the previous show, when you start to get cocky, that's when, they bring it down on you. Because it just seems like that must portray in camp life. When you're feeling cocky, your walk changes, your attitude towards people changes. And I think, after people watch you and scrutinize you and talk to you and do all that kind of stuff, maybe they pick up on that. It's like, he seems a little more relaxed. He doesn't scramble around. He's not talking. So, he thinks he's in charge. He's got a plan. And, that's when people really want to start, cutting you down a peg, getting rid of you or voting out your allies, those kind of things. So, Danny played an idol previous show. And when that happens, the idol almost always comes back into play, meaning it's out there to be found again. And this wasn't any exception. So you see him going around trying to find idols. You see Danny. He goes out and says, he spends 5 minutes, brings back some wood. So he's trying to fake, I'm just going to go out and get some firewood, and come back. And then he comes back with a little bit of firewood. Well, probably ought to go out and get some more. That wasn't enough. people know, they know when this is going on. It doesn't really fool anybody because they're all looking around going, everybody's here but Danny. He's out looking for an idol. We better go look for idols. So out they go. And let me get this going here. Okay, so here's my, let's see, where is this guy? All right, so let me do something here real quick. I do have, I think I got my phone line going. So if somebody potentially wants to call in, then I think they can. Anyway, okay. So, where is she? Heidi, this girl here. It's getting to be the point now where they don't quite look this good now. So, she looks marvelous here. Now in the show, she ain't looking so hot. But anyway, she finds the idol. They're all looking in trees. They're all looking at, where all these hidey spots might be. And so she finds it. And she wasn't so smart the last time. She had an advantage. I think she could have saved 2 people, but she didn't. I think she flubbed that up. Anyway, she found this idol, and so far she's played it very smart, meaning she hasn't told anybody yet. She was by herself when she found it. She kept it in her pocket. Done. Not telling anybody. That's smart. The secret's not a secret. You tell one person. So she finds it. And since she found it, the editing, we talked about this a little bit earlier, the way they edit it, there's not any more showing of people scrambling for idols. Now, that might lead you to believe that nobody's doing it. Well, I don't think that's true. I just think the audience knows. We, the home viewers, know. And therefore, it's not as important through editing to show people still looking for it. But I'm sure they are. Okay? Because nobody knows that she has it. Now, they will get tired eventually, physically and mentally tired. Why can't I find it? Then they start asking themselves, I bet somebody already has found it. And if you're a student of people's personalities, like I said, you might pick up on the fact that Heidi was gone a lot at first. And then all of a sudden, Heidi seems more relaxed. She's not going out as much. Everybody else still going out and hunting for idols. But I notice now Heidi is down near the beach, washing her feet in the ocean. What does that tell you? If you watch for these signs, they don't show you this kind of stuff. There's Cleo. Hey, Cleo. They don't really show you this in editing because I can't imagine the stuff that goes on, what they, like to say, what hits the editing floor and doesn't make it into the show. So I think, I'm not a student of people. You'd almost have to be to play Survivor good. But you may pick up on these little hints that somebody found the idol because now they're not desperate. Right? Just like somebody's starving or hungry, and this is what's happening to them this time because they haven't had rice. It showed them, what was his name? Josh? Carson, I'm sorry. See, I don't know their name. Carson, the Harry Potter looking dude. He got sick previous show and was throwing up after he went on this peanut butter and jelly challenge, or won the reward of peanut butter and jelly. So, but they're still weak. They haven't been eating. They've been eating green papayas and basically them in an iron skillet, charring them or roasting them, doing whatever, and eat them that way, which I'm sure is not good for your stomach. They're doing the same thing with coconuts, all that kind of stuff. So they're getting real hungry. This kind of plays into if you're hungry and you're out there hunting for fish or food or rats or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're not doing that anymore. People ought to pick up on that and go, hey, what did you eat? How did you stop being hungry? Because you're no longer out there running around trying to, eat worms. They showed them doing that before. They don't show that kind of stuff now. I often thought if I was on Survivor, there's a few things that I would do. One of them would be make my own shelter. You people face that stupid lean-to towards the ocean breeze and let that crap blow in off the ocean on you all night long. That's fine. I would say, I'm going to go back inland a little ways, and I'm going to build me a bunker because it gets cold at night. Okay? I'm going to build me a little shelter that I could sleep in and hopefully try to stay warm, keep at least the breeze off of me, maybe make some palm frond little cover things, cover up from head to toe and try to stay warm and get some rest. Okay? So, that's one thing I would do. And another thing I would do would be find a place that if I went out and crapped like a fish, or actually speared a fish, or whatever, that I could eat it. And I've seen somebody else do this. I could eat it secretly. Right? So that I wouldn't run back into the camp going, oh, I caught this little bluegill fish. Oh, let's all chop it up into 1,000 pieces and we'll each get a grain, of fish. Yeah. I would probably try to be sneaky enough if I had to, you're hungry enough, you could eat it raw, I assume. I don't know. You got to do a lot of research before you go on Survivor. But I would try to eat secretly. Find something, find some berries, find some coconuts, find a stash of root boo, whatever, and eat it. Because you need to keep your strength, and let somebody else go out. And then if somebody's fishing, you get fishing gear, fine, But you got to take care of yourself. And this is what, they were showing it. And here's the reason they were showing it. They went to their challenge, and it's an immunity challenge. But it also turned out to be another immunity reward challenge. And how that played out was Jeff said, give me 4 people that are willing to set out the immunity challenge, and I'll give the team, the tribe, a bag of rice. So, he goes through this explanation. If you want to better the tribe and you feel good for, the immunity, that you're not going to get voted out, if you'll sit out competing in this challenge, then he'll give everybody a big old bag of rice and they can eat. And I have seen other shows where they said, hey, Jeff, tell you what, we'll do 3 people and you give us rice. Or if we do 4 people, you give us 2 big bags of rice. And he likes to negotiate. He will negotiate. They didn't try to negotiate anything. They finally got the 4 people. They set out. And so the other people went to do the challenge. And it was a pretty tough challenge because in Fiji, it's in the ocean, man. It could rain and stop at any point. So it is raining. The wind's blowing. So it's cold. And they stand on 1 foot on a block. They stood on 1 foot on the block. They have like this rolling pin deal. It looks like it's kind of a football on a stick. And they hold it up and they press it against a round ball that then is pressed against a board. And so you have to push against this football on a stick, hold the round ball. It's probably about the size of the round ball. It's about the size of a croquet ball up against a pole, and you're standing on or up against a plank, and you're standing on 1 foot with your other foot placed on top of that one. You can only have 1 foot touching the block you're standing on. So they went, I don't know, he said at 1.5 minutes, so they may have went 8-9 minutes maybe. before they whittled it down, and it was Danny and Franny, which was Danny and Franny. It rhymed. So Danny is the guy here, the fireman, that the previous show saved Franny from all the votes by playing his idol for her. And now they're competing against each other for immunity. And she wins. I bet he was kicking himself saying, man, I should have let them take her last time. And maybe I could have won this thing. But anyway, he got rid of Brandon by doing that. He got rid of Brandon by saving Franny, because everybody basically voted for Franny except for him, Franny, and somebody else, I don't remember who, and voted Brandon out. So, it was good at the time. Did it bite him in the butt, last night? Yeah, somebody else could have taken Franny's spot and beat him still, but who knows? It was just him and her on the challenge, and he couldn't stand up there. And I don't know. I'd have to look at them side by side. But this challenge, I think, lent itself a little bit to a taller person, and I think she's a little bit lankier. I don't want to say maybe she's as tall, or maybe she's the same height, but it seems like she's lankier. Danny looks, just maybe because of his muscles, looks short and stocky. She looks long and, whispery. So maybe that was to her advantage, because she may not have had to stretch her arms completely straight out. I don't know. But when she was doing it, she had like her buff wrapped around her head. And I don't know why. Danny didn't have a shirt on. She had on a wife beater. It's raining. That has to be, hey, y'all need to take some clothes off, because, it's raining, you're fighting, and it just makes for good TV. I don't know. I would go everywhere I went, unless it was sunshiny, I would dress, like it was 50 outside. Just, I don't know. It just seems strange that they didn't have every piece of clothing they had with them, because it was raining. It'd all be soaked to the bone. I mean, I understand that. It was raining, which made it more difficult, because you could tell water was raining was running down their face while they were trying to balance and push this ball up against, the block or whatever you want to call it. So it was like they were looking through a periscope on a submarine, except they were pressing against a round ball, and it had to stay there. And of course, rain makes it slick and gets in your eyes. I know it had to be tough. And they're hungry, because they haven't had their rice yet. They got the 4 people to set out. It's all fine and dandy. And Danny told them, oh, well, if you guys will set out, I won't vote for you tonight, which is a crock of crap. So they, 4 people set out. Franny wins the challenge. They go back, and the first thing they do is, of course, eat rice. And it looks like they fried it. I don't think they give them any oil. So they're just basically, I don't know, sizzling it. I think in some of the episodes they boil rice in the seawater, which, sounds kind of crazy, but then you think, well, it gives it, you're boiling the seawater, it's going to give it a little more extra flavor, because there's salt, right? And fish poop and all kinds of pollutants in the ocean. So it's got to give the rice extra flavor. So, if you're boiling it in seawater, you might get a little extra, calcium, I don't know, whatever, into the rice. But they look like they'd fried it. And I don't think they give them oil. And they had like a cast iron skillet. So, it can't be good. If you've ever scorched anything in a skillet, it's ruined. You just can't eat it. But they ate it. and they liked it. And I'm sure it made them feel better because then they all started strategizing. Okay? So here's I made some notes. I was trying to write that stuff down because there was, several things I wanted to talk about. One of the things is, and I talked about it on my last show about Survivor. It used to be the Ratu tribe had 4 members. Yep. When they voted out Brandon, there was 3. So now it's 3, 3, and 3. So this is the way the Tika tribe, these 3 players are like the middlemen. So they actually are the vote. They can decide who they're going to go with. Swing vote, no swing vote. Let's vote this player out. What's best for our game? So, like it or not, whatever those other 2 tribes think, these 3 people really are in control of the game. Because the other 2 are very loyal to their teammates, tribe mates, and for whatever reason, they want to vote the other tribes out. Well, Franny has a really good idea, and she takes it to Danny and says, you know what? We ought to get together with the Ratu tribe, Ratatouille tribe, and take out one of these Tika players. Because she said if we don't play the cards right now, when they get their way and they're controlling the game, they will have the numbers. They will have the majority by just bouncing back and forth, picking one off each team as they go down the road. And then they'll have, it'll be 3, 3, and 2, and then it'll be 3, 2, and 2, and then they will become the majority. So at some point, the Ratu tribe and the old Soka tribe have got to get together and take one of these players out to break that power. Well, Franny wanted to do it tonight because it would be a total blindside. That means they'd have to get together with the Ratu tribe and form this unlikely alliance to vote one of those middle players out. They didn't do it. Of course they didn't do it. So I think that would have been a really good play. I was with her on that. I thought that would be excellent. So, but Danny didn't think so, and he kind of shot it down. So, ring checks, sit out, rice, salt, middle tribe. Yep. So, here's one thing they were talking about, the Ratu tribe. So, let's see. Jamie, this chick, and Lauren, this girl. Lauren had this the double vote, the 2 vote. Okay? And Jamie had an idol. They start thinking, between the 3 of them, what if somebody on the Soka tribe, they're guessing about this, what if somebody on the Soka tribe had the knowledge is power advantage? And what I recall that being is, if, let's say, I have the knowledge of power advantage. Knowledge is power. And I know that Jamie has an idol. At tribal council, I tell Jeff I'm going to play my advantage, and I look at Jamie and I say, Jamie, do you have a hidden immunity idol? And if she has it, she has to tell the truth and say, yes, I do. And if she does, I can take it. Okay? So, they're thinking maybe somebody has that. So what they do is they do the little swap-a-roos kind of thing. So Jamie gives her idol to Cain, and Lauren gives her extra vote to Jamie. So back to my scenario. After they've made all this swap, if I go to Jamie, or Jamie right here, and I say, Jamie, or tell Jeff, I'm going to use my knowledge is power advantage, and I say, Jamie, do you have a hidden immunity idol? She can look at me and honestly say, no, I do not. Why? Because she gave it to Cain. Cain now physically holds it. She doesn't have an immunity idol. She has the double votes. So if I were to ask Lauren, hey, do you have your extra vote? She could honestly say, no, I do not. Why? Because she gave it to Jamie. So they did this as a protection against this knowledge is power thing that I don't think anybody has. I mean, sometimes it's hard to keep up with who has what, but I don't think anybody on the opposing team have that. But they were afraid. So they did this little switcheroo, thinking it would be really cool. So when they get to tribal council, it's one of those deals, and I'm kind of torn between this. They get up after Jeff prods them with these questions. They talk. Jeff starts talking to Carolyn, and she's out there, right? And she goes, I'm not sure what's going on, blah, 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 blah. So that makes some people uneasy. So they start to whisper to her. They get up and start whispering to her. And Jam, he asked Jam, goes, well, how does this make you feel? All this whispering goes on. And Jam said something, Jeff, I wished I had subtitles so I could understand what's going on. Well, in the show, and this was kind of cool, in the show, they turned on the subtitles. So, obviously, every one of the contestants is mic'd up. Because when they're whispering, other contestants might not be able to hear them, but the producers can. So, they were doing subtitles. All these little whispering sessions, you, as the audience, TV audience, could see what they were saying because they did what Jam asked. They put in subtitles. So they could tell. Now, he couldn't, of course, know then, but as he's sitting at home watching it like we are now, he can find out what these other people were saying, you know, when he didn't know what it was then, which was kind of cool. I mean, I like the subtitles deal. So Clell says they shouldn't be allowed to speak to each other before they vote like that. And when it very first happened, I wished I could remember what season that was, that happened for the first time. Jeff, I could almost see it in his face. He almost said, sit the hell down. What are y'all doing? This is tribal council. But he didn't. So, I don't guess there's a hard, fast rule about that. So I'm going to get to one of these production rules maybe here in a minute. But apparently they don't have a hard, fast rule about what all can take place in the tribal council. Okay? I know they can't talk to the jury, and the jury cannot talk to them. But you'll see them giving people nods and thumbs up and little subtle hints. Like you saw Matt give Jamie a little, just kind of like, I'm so proud of you, girl. Because she came in there and had the necklace on, right? You could see that he was, signaling to her, you go, it's great, everything like that. So, I know that's a hard, fast rule. But sometimes it's really funny when they get up and they start talking and they'll run around, they'll talk to somebody and they'll run around and then there's like, oh crap, I got to go back to the first person. So, I don't know. Good or bad, it's the way they play the game now. I still wish, that he would have stood up and said, come on in, guys, and just told everybody else, it's like, this is the way it is. This is my traditional saying. and I'm going to keep it like that. Why ever bring up that stuff about, does that offend people? But anyway, so that's the way they're playing it now. Just like they're giving all these idols, they're giving the twists, they're, double immunity idols, all kinds of crap. But, so after everything settles down, they go to vote. And they vote out Kane. All right. Now, this is what's funny. Jamie has Lauren's double vote. And I guess they decided this beforehand. I don't remember. But she uses her double vote. Who were they after? Shoot. They were trying to vote out Heidi. They were thinking they're going to vote out Heidi. Now, she's the one that had and found and has kept secret so far the immunity idol that came into play when Danny used his. So she didn't play it. So they're voting Heidi. So she puts 2 votes on Heidi because she has Lauren's extra vote. So Lauren votes Heidi. She votes twice for Heidi. And he votes Heidi, I believe. So that's 4 votes Heidi. And these 3, and these, well, anyway, was it 5-3 or 4-3? I can't remember now. I should have wrote that down. But anyway, they ended up voting Kane out. Oh, there was 1 vote for Danny. So somebody voted for Danny instead of Heidi, I think. They voted Kane out. End result. Voted Kane out. Been cool if Kane played the idol for himself. Those players must be fantastic actors. See, and this is yeah, he could have played it because it was in his pocket. I mean, he could have stood up and said, I'm going to play this for myself. But it had to have known or had a real good, strong inkling to him that, they thought they had it just like every time else. They think they have it figured out. They think they have the numbers. And somebody flips it. But Jamie was sitting there and you could see it in her face as they started reading Kane's numbers. Oh my gosh, he's got my idol. And she's getting sick. So here's a question that I don't know. We talked about, the jury production rules. Jury cannot talk with the jury, and the contestants can't talk. Contestants get up, run around, and speak to each other during tribal council. But when Jeff is reading the votes, or even after the vote, and they say your tribe has spoken, is there a rule that says that Kane or any contestant can't give back to the other contestant their idol, a pair of shoes? I think I have seen somebody asked one time, as the person was walking out, Jeff says, the tribe has spoken. One of the contestants that voted to vote that person out stood up and said, hey Kane, no hard feelings, man. Can I have your raincoat? While he was leaving the tribal council. So apparently there can be some form of interaction because Jeff didn't step in and say, sit the hell down and shut up. He didn't say that. He let the interaction go, and the dude looked at him and goes, are you crazy? I hope you freeze and drown to death or something, So why couldn't Kane, when he starts hearing his name being written down, think, oh shit, I'm going to walk out of here with her idol, and just kind of take it out of his pocket and say, here. Yes, then everybody would know she had an idol. People that didn't before would know, You know, what's he giving her? He's giving her an idol. So she's going to have an idol. But that's, even though the cat's out of the bag, I think it's better to have it and people know about it than to not have it. So I don't understand. And this is, I think, has happened before. People have walked out of there with someone else's idol or their own idol in their pocket. Why can't they just sneak that out and drop it on the floor and just nudge the person next to them going, hey, you know, look down there. There's my idol. You know, could they do that? Could they just stand up and say, I think I've seen people throw them in the fire before. I wish I knew a daggone survivor expert that could tell. Or, you know, maybe there's a survivor rule book out there. But I don't understand why he couldn't have had just even before Jeff says, you know, the tribe spoke and get the devil out, it seems like he could have been just reached down his pocket and said, so it looks like I'm going to the house. Here, you have this. I don't know. But he didn't. And so now she doesn't have an idol. But I think that will come back into play in the next show. So, because it was taken out of circulation. Or, is that the way it works? He didn't play it, so it wasn't really played. If it just walks out without being played, do they put it back into, you know, does it recycle? Does it go back in? I don't know. Either one of y'all know, Robert, Clell? If it's not played in tribal council and they walk out with it in their pocket, does that mean that one's dead? It never, you know what I mean? It never comes back? Because when Danny played his, he actually played it. It became, you know, active again, and somebody else could find it. Heidi found it. But if Kane walks out with it, does that mean it's no longer, it can no longer be put back into play, I guess? That's a good question. I don't remember what happens to them. Okay, Clell says it's dead. So there won't be another idol coming back from tonight's episode. So, anyway, that's what I had on Survivor that I watched tonight that actually aired last night. So I think I covered all the points that I had written down on my little doodle board, right? And let's do this. Ta-da! Woo! Wow. So I can't think of anything anything else unusual. They did showed a lot this evening about Carolyn they were all just kind of laying around like it was a lazy day. I mean, I would think there's going to be I would have thought there'd be lots of lazy days, you know, because if you're not able to eat and intake a lot of calories, you would want to be resting, sleeping, napping, not moving, saving your calories anytime you could. Well, what was that? Hell there. So, but they were all laying around and Carolyn was talking about her recovery from, I guess, alcohol, because she said she was like 16 years sober, something like that. And she had a fiance and a child and all that kind of stuff. She was telling him, you know, what a good experience that was for her and all that. So, I don't think there was anything else that was really cool or different about the show. You guys have Robert, agree. I can't see. What does it mean? I can't see. Was somebody said that? I don't remember that. Think they will merge soon? Well, aren't they merged now? I mean, they're all merged. They're just, everybody's still just voting along their tribal lines because, you know, that's the way they want to play it. You have a mystery guest. Who has a mystery guest? You guys are losing me now. So, 45, 46 minutes. Well, yes. I think they will merge soon. I can't see. Oh, you guys are crazy. Lost me. Lost me. All right. So, Monday night show, I don't know. Up here. 3 in my chat. Oh, list viewers. I don't know. You know, I know I talk about this just about every time, but I'm using StreamYard. Of course, you can tell if you look at the logo tonight. So it tells me there's 3, but it doesn't let me see who the participants are. In OBS, you can look at there and click on participants, and it'll show people in the chat. But this doesn't do that. So, man, I don't know. Still trying to figure out. I think, I just need to splurge the money on a new graphics card. I think that will help my OBS. There's things that it does that I like better. There's things that this one does that I like better. One thing I like about StreamYard is I can do cool stuff like this. Look at that little ticker thing going on down there. I got my phone line up. Take that out. In there. Shoot, yeah, man. You can click this. You can't, I don't know. Maybe you can do that kind of stuff in OBS, but I haven't seen it. So, anyway, Robert, Clell, Mystery Man, Mystery Woman, Mystery Guest, Mystery Person, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. If you didn't see the whole thing, it's available on YouTube. Go back and watch what you missed. If you're seeing it for the first time, you watched it all the way to the end, yeah, man, thanks a bunch. Leave me a comment. I'll see the comments. If I get one, I reply to it. If I don't get one, then I don't reply to it. Just that simple. So, leave me a comment. I'll reply to you. Next show, cryptotherapy. Is that where you freeze yourself? Freeze your nads off and then jump into a hot boiling water pot just to make yourself feel better? I know that guy, is that what you're talking about? The ice therapy, cold therapy, cryotherapy, crypto. What did I say? Crypto. What the devil's that? Cryotherapy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the cold therapy. Where you get in is it ice bath, or are you talking about the one where you actually have the chamber that gets you down into the stupid negative digits where you can freeze your toenails off and stuff? Joe Rogan's a big proponent of that. He, sometimes those cold therapy is the local general use of low temperature and medical therapy. Well, he does it as just a general rule. I think he starts the morning out with some kind of 10-minute ice plunge or some kind of junk like that, and then goes and works out. I don't know. About the closest thing I ever came to it, like a negative 115. Law have mercy. And they get in there naked. I don't see how you could ever stand on anything. Like if you went into it and you had to go in there and stand on a piece of wood, you know, you can't float, right? So you got to be standing on or sitting on something. If you went into something that was like 115 degrees below zero, wouldn't you just stick to it? I mean, at the minute you stepped in and stood on a piece of wood, you would freeze to it, just like if you went in and stepped on something that was like 115 degrees Fahrenheit on the plus side, and it would burn your feet. Well, probably not, because I know, well, I don't know, man. Scalding, it's about 135, 140 degrees. The water that would scald you. So maybe 115 degree water or 115 degree piece of wood wouldn't burn your feet. But you know what I mean. Dale Earnhardt Jr. tried it and was not a fan. I'm sure it's something you have to work up to. I mean, like I said, the closest thing I ever came is in high school. I went to a wrestling tournament. It was in early fall, something like that. Anyway, the hotel we stayed in overnight, the pool was closed. It was like 45 degrees outside, and a bunch of us idiots went out there, jumped in the pool. I don't know how cold the water was, but it was 45 degrees outside and had been, like the pool was closed, but they didn't cover it. By the time I jumped into the water, surfaced, turned around, swam back to the ladder, and got out, I was freezing. So I can't imagine getting into water, and maybe the cryotherapy isn't water, but I know people do ice baths a lot, and they stay in the ice bath. There was a show where they took a Navy SEAL and they wired him up and they put him into 32 degree water, and this was his training, supposedly was his training. But anyway, they put temperature sensors on his body, and he was able to keep, he didn't sit around and chit chat and everything like that. You could tell he was concentrating, and he was able to keep his core temperature warm enough that he stayed in freezing water, 32 degree water, however cold it was, for like 30 minutes without going into hypothermia, which is unheard of. Because, if you fall into the river and it's, even at 50 degrees, your body temperature, it sucks the heat out of your body, just boom, because it's such a good conductor, of heat or cold, and you can get hypothermia. What's funny is some kids, not all kids, but I'm sure it's a proven fact, that there have been kids that have fallen through frozen ponds and have been underwater for minutes at a time. They drag them out, they resuscitate them, and they don't drown and die. The body goes into this, cryo whatever, and even though they should be drowned, when they resuscitate them, get it all back together, they come out of it, and a lot of times with no ill effect. But we could talk about that. Cryotherapy. Maybe what we ought to do is get you on live and throw you into a horse trough with a bunch of ice water. Since it was your idea, you ought to be the one to experience it and let us know just how cold really is. What do you say, Robert? Clell getting into a big old horse trough full of ice cubes and water. That should be my next show. I'm all for it. Me and Robert vote yes. You're the man, Clell. So, alright, Monday night show will be on cryotherapy. Figure out what that is. How you can do it at home. How you shouldn't probably do it at home. Unless you've got the equipment and you work your way up to it. So, like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your loved ones, tell the doctor, tell the nurse. Alright? Tell everybody you know. Come check out the Minutes with Milo show. And I'm thinking this weekend, I know I've said this before, I think I'm going to make my breakfast pocket this weekend and put it out there for everybody. All right, 50 minutes. Way too long. Way too long. One day I'm going to cut myself off at 30 minutes no matter what I'm talking about. 30-minute mark on this timer. I'm just going to do this. Just go bonk and end the broadcast.